Well, it's always been pretty obvious that in our justice system, people who are wealthy and well-connected are treated more favorably than people who are poor and without connections. That's not a surprising thing. It wouldn't be worth writing a book to make that point. That's self-evident. Anybody who has any passing experience in the judicial system knows that. But what I think has happened is something far beyond that, which is that we've actually adopted this mentality explicitly that people who are very financially powerful or politically powerful actually ought to be kept out of the judicial system entirely, even when they engage in serious wrongdoing for the good of society generally. I trace this to the pardon of Richard Nixon by Gerald Ford and the sense on the part of a lot of media elites that this was the right thing to do, even though Nixon had committed grave crimes, because to hold him accountable would basically not be in the best interest of the United States, because it would consume the country in this kind of political fight. And the sense was that Richard Nixon had already suffered enough by the grave reputational damage and the requirement that he leave political office. And there was actually, interestingly, Gerald Ford's press secretary who resigned in protest of that decision, who at the time said that we were creating this two-tiered justice system, where the most powerful were being given this deference that, for example, nobody else who had been breaking the law would be given. His example was there was prosecutions going on of people who had deserted in the Vietnam War out of protest and refusing to serve, and why aren't they getting the same pardons on the same ground? And yet consecrating that mindset that Richard Nixon should be excused for the good of the country led to basically full-scale immunity for the political elite. So you saw the same thing happen in the Iran-Contra scandal with regard to Iraqgate, which was arming Saddam Hussein in violation of the law, and then of course with regard to Bush torturers and people who broke the law with regard to warrantless surveillance have now been protected by the Obama administration, and now it's even seeped into the private sector. So that telecoms who broke the law got retroactive immunity from Congress, and the Wall Street criminals who caused the financial collapse have been nowhere near a courtroom or a prosecution. And when you juxtapose that full-scale immunity with the fact that America has the world's largest and most oppressive penal state, where ordinary Americans are subjected to the harshest punishment for the pettiest and most trivial of crimes that don't really trigger imprisonment anywhere else, and the incredibly harsh conditions of those prisons, what we really have is exactly what the founder said was the most threatening to freedom, which is not equal treatment under the law, but a completely distinct and separate justice system based on one's status and power.